I want to give all of you a hand, and you should give each other a hand and say congratulations to what you've done and what you've accomplished today. So give yourself a nice hand. You know, what you've done today is really only the beginning, though. It's not the end, and so it's nice to have this crowd and have all these presidential candidates come and visit us and talk to you about what they want to do. But the one question I want to ask you, you're asking all these presidential candidates all kinds of questions, but I want you to be honest with me right now when I ask you this question. By a show of hands, I would like all of you to answer this simple question. How many of you in this room at this very moment are registered to vote? That's impressive. Now, I think the most important thing is if you look at the numbers, in New Hampshire alone, the facts are these, that if you go through, John Kerry won the 2004 New Hampshire primary with about 84,000 votes. There are about 33,000 Democrats with disabilities in New Hampshire, and there are another 54,000 independent voters with disabilities in New Hampshire. If you add that up, there are more votes in New Hampshire than the winner of the Democratic primary. And that same equation applies in all the early caucuses and primaries in the presidential campaign. So if we, those of us who have disabilities, if we and our families, just those of us with disabilities, but if we take those of us with disabilities and our families vote, we can impact every single primary. Every single primary. I found it fascinating that, and the questions of asking the candidates, the implication was that we're not effective. I found that fascinating. It was a negative question. Why aren't we more effective? How can we be more effective? And the response from each of the two was, by what you're doing today. The real answer is, get out and vote. That's the real answer. And if you get out and vote, and people know you're voting, you'll have an impact. And they will come to you. They will ask you for your input. They will ask you for your support. You'll be effective. But if you don't vote, they don't care. Why? Because it's obvious you don't care. If you vote, it implies you care. We in the disability community have not been that effective. And we haven't been because we don't get organized and get committed and get out there and make a difference when it counts, and that's the day of the vote. So I would hope that in 2008, our commitment is that we organize and vote. Our commitment is that we organize here in New Hampshire and we participate, but we really organize to get out the vote, and that we have an impact, and that everybody knows that the disability community made a difference here in New Hampshire, and that we do it in Iowa, and that we do it in South Carolina, and that we do it in Nevada, so that and every election people recognize that when we say there are 54 million Americans, 54 million of us with disabilities, that they recognize that they have to deal with us. When we talk about our issues, the ADA restoration, we talk about housing, when we talk about health care, we talk about all the different issues that are important to us. Then they realize they have to do something about it. That we're not begging. We don't have to beg. Our issues are real. It's just like other people, other groups. They go to those groups and they say they're going to do X. Why? Because they're voting blocs. They know that they make a difference in election campaigns. It's the same thing with us. It's easy to do. Just your willingness to be involved. Your willingness to be here today made a difference with Hillary Clinton. Your willingness to be here today made a difference with Biden. It'll make a difference with Dodd. It'll make a difference with the other candidates that are here today. But it's only the beginning. What really counts is Election Day. Getting out the vote. Your vote. All of you registered, you said, that is only part of it. You got to go out and actually vote. And you got to take your loved ones with you to vote. And if you get out there and you vote, and you take your loved ones with you to vote, then the candidates are going to come to us, asking us what we want, what we need, what makes a difference to us to make our life better, to do what's right for us. When we talk about these issues, they'll want to know what matters to make these issues real. I can remember when I was suicidal. I can remember when I had my difficulties and people didn't care, including my family. It is time for us to stand up. It is time for us to demand that we have the dignity that we deserve. It is time for us to demand that we have the jobs that we should have. It is time for us to demand the respect that we deserve. But we can only do that. We can only do that when we fulfill our responsibility. And our responsibility, either as Democrats or Republicans, our responsibility is not only to register. Our responsibility is not only to be at a social function like this. Our responsibility is to vote, is to not only vote ourselves, but to get our families to vote, but is to vote and to be effective in that vote. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much, Tony Coelho. Let's give Tony another hand. We are so lucky to have people like Tony. I'm proud to serve with him on the board of AAPD. We're so fortunate to have people like Tony who can talk from personal experience and understand, because of his experience as a legislator, what we need to do as a movement. So thank you very much, Tony, for coming to share your wisdom with us.